Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture Comics again, joined by Zoe.
Continue to be Zoe.
And we're talking about Powers of 10 number 3, because the way they've released these comics is that it was intermingled, and now it's 2 weeks back to back of Powers of 10, and it's very confusing. But the actual issue itself continues to be amazing. It was actually a very, very good week for comics this week. I picked up Powers of 10, Daredevil, which has a new art team with Jorge Fawns on there, and it's absolutely incredible. And then also Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, which is kind of potentially my favorite comic of the year so far. But given that those comics didn't reveal too much about the grand scheme of, you know, the fabric of the Marvel and DC universes respectively, Powers of 10 did, and that's becoming a running theme with the X-Men, isn't it?
It's wild that literally at least every week, if not every other week, it's like, by the way, everything's changed. Everything you know and love has changed, but not for the worse.
Yeah, this one was really, really cool because, again, it's, I know it must, if you're an outside observer not really like paying attention or reading the comic, having us every week go, it's just changed the game again, wah, it's probably like really annoying, but it genuinely has. And Powers of 10 number 3 actually picks up where the last issue obviously left off, where we've got the X-Men in year 100, kind of, it's not really the X-Men, it's actually Apocalypse's Horseman, which is really, really cool. So we find out that, obviously in the other issue, we know that Apocalypse was involved with Moira, and that was like a whole thing, and that they've been rallying together to take on Nimrod and the Machines, who have got this basically a massive dominance over Earth in this point in time. And Wolverine, Zorn, and the rest of the Horsemen and the Chimeras. I have to give a shout out to Zorn because he's the most nihilistic man ever, and also someone who I love very dearly and relate to. Because he's just there like, I crave the sweet release of death. Please give it to me. Oh, why haven't you killed me yet? Oh God, no. That isn't a cry for help. But continuing on through the issue, we actually see the X-Men attack this human machine church thing, because obviously all the humans are enslaved now and they attack it, but it's actually as a means of distraction, while the actual X-Men, or the Horsemen of Apocalypse, go and basically infiltrate Nimrod's big lair to download information about him to take him down. And then we learn that it is effectively a suicide mission, but not for the reasons that we thought in the last issue. Because what happens next is that Nimrod finds out that they're infiltrating the place, a scuffle happens between him and Wolverine, and when I say scuffle, I mean he literally just obliterates Wolverine's entire arm. And then Apocalypse is like, look, Wolverine, you can't stay and fight him. Go and deliver this crystal, this little knowledge crystal thing. Go and deliver it, otherwise we're all screwed. And also I can take him on. And Apocalypse, who is probably one of, if not the most one of the most powerful mutants in Marvel history, one of the oldest ones ever, just gets his ass beat, and it's really sad.
This is probably, because obviously Kid Apocalypse, you always got to hold out a little candle that grown Apocalypse can be a good guy. But hearing, because obviously Logan mentions the old man, which I think we're supposed to presume is Professor X, which means in this timeline, Professor X and Apocalypse were just best buds, just hanging out. And I think I would like to see even more of that. Yeah,
because this is where the next twist comes in. So basically after Apocalypse effectively sacrifices himself so that Wolverine can deliver this information to Moira, we find out that this isn't actually the future of her 10th life, it's actually the 9th life, and she dies getting this information. Wolverine kills her, that she can then go back and influence the past to make sure that, or influence a future timeline to make sure that this can never happen again in House of X, which is her 10th life. And that's kind of like a massive twist, because we thought that these glimpses of the future of X-Men 100 and then the 1,000 years into the future after that, we thought that they were actually the 10th life, but it actually turns out that it's the 9th life, which is incredible, because that means basically everything is nothing is off limits for this next life. And yeah, it's just really, really cool. I read this issue, and again, like all the other issues, I'm just like, oh my God, that's incredible. And with Moira having all these different lives, how do you think that might come into play going forward? Because we've seen everything that's gone past, we're now in uncharted territory.
Well, the interesting thing is, for anyone who's picking up with the timeline, because I'm boring and I love a good timeline, it actually has changed, because we got to see up to a certain point with the last issues, but this one has gone a little bit further. So I think the really interesting thing is they can sort of play with that as much as they want, and it'll always make a rough kind of sense to us, because we'll be able to have this literal like cheat sheet, like here it is, you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to make your own timeline because that'd get weird. Like you've got all the details here, and we can change it as much as you want.
Yeah, because the X-Men could completely change as we know it going forward. I mean, we know that the dawn of X is happening in after September, and we don't know if X is going to be involved in that. All the covers for the main X-Men comics so far have just had the main team without X. So is something bad going to happen with Krakoa? Something terrible is going to happen. I'm very worried, but I'm also kind of optimistic that maybe if this then goes into an 11th life, this is completely, that Hickman has free reign to do whatever he wants to.
Well, I thought the most interesting part is, so obviously Nimrod has been built up as this huge big bad, and I was thinking about it, did a little bit of research, and we've never actually learned his proper backstory. We know he's supposed to be a jacked up Sentinel. We know he was made on an alternate Earth. We know he's a big deal, but we've never seen that backstory. And the fact that this ends with them explicitly finding out how it happened, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, because the last issue of House of X actually showed X, Magneto, and Cyclops conspiring to basically take down the Mother Mold, which is the orbiting satellite coalition combined with like S.H.I.E.L.D., elements of Hydra, Sword, and all the other basic, sinister, surreptitious organizations that humanity has to offer. And it ends with them basically resolving to go blow it up. And it now turns out that the reason they're going to do that is because they figure that the Mother Mold is what creates Nimrod. And that's come from Moira's experiences when she linked up with Apocalypse in her 9th life, which again makes you completely reappraise everything you've just seen so far, and whether or not we're actually going to get more future shenanigans. Because we had, we've been seeing these glimpses into the future, pretty much and thinking that it was inevitable that Krakoa would basically get destroyed and that X's dream would die. But now it turns out that that doesn't have to happen, which kind of leaves you with the sense of renewed optimism for the future.
Well, I think as well, we had a conversation where I was like, it's weird because, obviously Zon's supposed to be dead in the regular universe. And I was like, wait, only he doesn't have to be, because every different timeline can have different series of events that's happened.
That's the other thing. I completely forgot to mention that there is an amazing moment in this comic where Rasputin is basically like, I'll take Zorn's head off right now and get you sucked into a black hole. I will do this. And then
he wants to die, man.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And Zon's just there like, yes, please. And then it actually happens, and then all those characters get sucked into a singularity, which again leaves them open to be used elsewhere, which is really cool because I really like the Chimeras. The Chimera is like one of the most interesting things that this series has introduced so far. I love the idea of splicing mutants together so you get new characters that actually have their personalities informed by the old genetics, because there's a bit in there about Cardinal saying that he had to take a seed of apocalypse to actually get rid of Kurt Wagner's pacifistic tendencies so that he can actually attack this church, which again is really, really cool. And I would love to see that intermingled with the present day timeline. So if they can get Rasputin and Cardinal to come into the mainstream X-Men, I'd be really happy with that.
Well, it's such a smart move, because obviously when we initially saw the Chimeras, it's with Rachel Summers coming from an alternate world and an alternate timeline anyway. So it works really well with what we actually already had from the Marvel Canon. Like, I think the very clever way this has been played is it's not, a lot of people have complained that it's, totally changing the universe. And while it is big events, it's all stuff that we've seen within the past. And nothing is ever particularly like, it's all clearly taken from old reference material. I think that's such a clever way to do it.
I love it when comics basically make you reappraise everything that has come before, and I'm really excited to see, because the big thing, obviously the major thing when they revealed that Moira was in fact a mutant, the big reveal there was that she only has 10 or 11 lives to live tops. So we're basically in the Endgame now, and there is the potential that if Moira dies again, that could be it. So this is effectively the X-Men's last chance to make sure that the future doesn't get destroyed in a big robo-technical apocalypse, which is really bad. One thing I also wanted to point out is that when they're in X100, Nimrod mentions the incursions and Avengers world, which again you think of with Hickman's time on the Avengers. Obviously the incursions were a massive thing then. So I wonder if that's going to come back into play somehow as well.
I literally think this may be the way that they get to sort of link all of their various events and timelines together. And in terms of like, what's the best way we could do that? I think this might be it. Like,
yeah. I'm really excited to see how the assault in the next issue goes down, because I'm here for the X-Men basically just being like, yeah, we're going to fight back now. We're going to take down your stupid Sentinel-producing floating head satellite. Now I'm gonna blow it up and make Cyclops look cool in the process, which is impossible. Sorry to all the Cyclops fans there. He's a bit of a wet towel, but he looks really cool now. So yeah, we want to know what you all thought of Powers of 10 number 3 down in the comments below. Are you excited to see the next issue? Did this one completely blow your mind? Because my mind is currently being reassembled back there. Dan Durkin's got it hooked into his hard drive. This is just half my brain working right now because I'm completely enthralled by this series. But yeah, please let us know what you thought of it down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on Twitter at EwanRuinsThings and catch Zoe on Twitter at
Zemaskel.
and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.